Hi guys, this is the officially unofficial Geek channel. This is the weekly comic review. My name is Carrie Quinn. Hi, how are ya? Wow, I think, did I just have a stroke? Weird. Huh. Okay, anyways, let's not dwell on that. Let's talk about comics from this week, folks. Um, As always, this is the weekly comic review. My name is Carrie Quinn. Please, if you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. Ooh, hit that little notification bell thingy because that tells you when I'm going to go on. And that tells you when I have a new video up. So you won't miss any little bit of fun. Anyways, guys, not a lot of news here. Still working out some ideas for some things and that kind of thing. So stay tuned to the channel. But anyways, we're going to do the comics. We're going to talk about the comics that I read this week. We're going to do this as spoiler free as possible. And we're going to lay these out to you in no particular order, except for when we get to my top three. My top three, and I will indicate when we've reached that point, and, give them a little bit more pomp and circumstance, so to speak. Anyways, guys, let's get into it. Like I said just a moment ago, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please hit that notification bell so you are aware whenever I post a video. And tell your friends. Share this crap because, well, I'm here to stay, y'all. And it'd be nice if y'all came on the journey with me. That'd be great. Anyways, let's get on this comic journey. Let's start it off this week with Wildcats number 5 from DC Comics. So major thing happened in the last issue involving the apparent death of a character. That character, because it was last issue, I can go ahead and tell you that death was Grifter. Grifter was apparently found dead. And yet, guys, it's an apparent death. It's an apparent death in the fact that they have a body that looks like Cole Cash. Looks like Grifter, smells like Grifter, maybe Grifter. Well, I mean, I'm going to say it smells like Grifter when he's dead. I'm sure that body's starting to get a little bit, you know, by the time that the rest of his team gets to see it. But not everything is adding up. And that's what you get to see here in this issue about how you have the main Wildcats team and then you have the kind of the other team. This is something that came out a couple issues ago, where you have the other team that's more front facing to the whole world, so to speak. It's not like they are planted and not doing anything. Guys, they are actually doing something. In fact, we have a special appearance from a certain member of the Justice League that basically is trying to get them, get more information on them and kind of just, trying to do the whole, cool your britches, little one kind of situation with this book. And it's interesting because you have this whole team that has this history, Image and Wildstorm being introduced into the DC world. So they are being, mishmashed with characters from the DC world in turn, right? So, yes, you are going to see members of the Justice League. Well, I mean, you don't have to see members of the Justice League, but here's the deal. You see a member of the Justice League, guys, you know, um, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because I think you should read it, but I really liked this appearance. I thought it was really good. Kind of just shows a little bit of the way the outside of the Wildcats Marlowe teams appear. Now, you know how I kind of said not everyone is really buying the fact that Grifter is actually dead, that it's actually Cold Cash and actually dead. Well, there's certain things that are not adding up for some of the members of the team, and different factions of the team are really kind of getting into this and kind of starting to connect the dots that things do not smell right in, you know, that area of the world. The problem is when people start getting, feeling like things are smelling fishy and everything like that, that's when something happens. And one of the members goes a little rogue in the situation, and it does not, um, well, read the book, because there's yet another cliffhanger at the end of this book, um, where you're like, oh, wow. So Wildcats number 6 is really going to, I don't want to say like a bomb is going to go off, not literally, or maybe it will because it is Wildcats, but we've got a pretty good story structure here, and I'm pretty sure the Wildcats book is supposed to be 6 issues. We are going to also, unfortunately, have a lot to unpack in this last issue. So, if they're wanting to tell the complete storyline, there's going to be a lot to unpack in this last issue, unless it recently became one of these ongoing ones. I'm not sure. Or if it's supposed to be more than 6 issues. The thing is a lot of these are doing 6 issues and then either being extended, or they're being just, I mean, in the case of Poison Ivy, they're ongoing at this point. But I have not heard anything personally about the status of Wildcats after issue 6. So we'll have to see what happens with that. And they they got a lot to unpack in that last issue. So it's either going to have unanswered questions at the end of it, or we're gonna have pretty action-packed issue 6 for Wildcats here coming in the near future. Next up, we're going to talk about Darkwing Duck number 3. Now, Darkwing Duck, it's by Dynamite. And obviously it is Darkwing Duck, I don't know if anyone around the age of 40 really needs too much of an introduction to Darkwing Duck, but in case you do, guys, the information's out there. It used to be a cartoon, and I used to watch it every day, at least every weekday. And Darkwing Duck is kind of my palate cleanser. Like, each time that it's come out, and this is now issue 3, yeah, it's issue 3. Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, issue 3. Each time it's been coming out, I leave it until the end, of all my books, because I know it's just going to be a really cool, lighthearted, story. And with the exception of a few different elements, it is episodic in nature. Um, what's really cool about it is that, yes, there is elements to it that are an ongoing story. Drake Mallard, who is also Darkwing Duck, has recently decided that he wants to be a better father to Gosling. So this is the first issue that we basically have Darkwing Duck in retirement. Darkwing Duck has hung up the mask and cape and is trying to be, good old suburban father to Gosling. Now, as things usually go with that, it's not necessarily going to work out too easily. However, Darkwing Duck, Drake Mallard, as it is, has a few different ideas on how he should go about doing this new direction in his life. Now, will that necessarily work out? Well, I'm not completely sure that's going to work out too well for Darkwing. What I really love is you have the standard, part of the story that connects everything. Um, I love episodic type things that are very sitcom like, where you have a main story and you have the, you know, episodic part of the story, which in this one, you have Morgana, you have Darkwing coming to find Morgana to be like, hey, I really want you to come and be with us and live with us and be kind of a suburban housewife and mother figure to Gosling. And so that's basically the story. Um, and yeah, it kind of gives a little bit of away, but not really enough um, to not enjoy Darkwing Duck. Um, I really love it. It's my palate cleanser, and I can't help it. It's just really cute and fun and a lot of fun to read. And I'm so glad Dynamite is doing the Darkwing Duck series. The next book that we're going to talk about is Harley Screws Up the DCU, the Multiversity, issue number 1. This is this lovely um, Connor and Palamudi cover, um, reminiscent of their run on Harley Quinn. Now, the premise of this story, and here's the part of the program where Carrie is going to have critical thoughts about something. So far, you've had pretty positive responses for me in the first 2 books that we're talking about this evening, but tonight, it's not all positivity. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you, um, that Harley Quinn Screws Up the DCU was okay. Um, it was not great. One thing I will tell you is while the cover is lovely, the art is interesting on the inside. And guys, the paper, like, you heard about it probably on other people's reviews. The paper is very much like newsprint, and I like that. I do. That's part of the review that's good. I liked the feel of this book. Quite simply, I liked the feel of the book. However, we have a few different ways to write Harley Quinn, apparently, in this world. And so, how do I go about saying this? Harley Quinn, when written in a way that I believe is good, I say this as being a huge fan of Harley. Harley is slapsticky. Harley is silly. Harley is a clown. She is. But Harley is also highly intelligent. Harley does not do the whole ditzy thing as an actual personality trait. Harley just is silly, but Harley is also smart. And the thing is about all of this is that you can be smart and you can be silly. There are times in this particular book and times when Harley is written where she is all dits. And there's been people that have written Harley in a way where she does address this. Harley is a highly intelligent person, and whenever, somebody tries to treat her like a ditz in the right way, she's just like, look, that I'm just a silly person, or she tries to be silly. Or there is one time where she was written where she basically said that the reason she acts like a ditz is because that's what Joker wanted. Joker liked ditzy blondes, and so she was going to act like a ditzy blonde. However, there have also been stories where Harley is written in a way where the ditzy blonde thing is not an act. They write her as a ditzy, dumb blonde. And Harley is not dumb. Literally, there's a moment in this where basically the storyline is this: Harley goes back to Coney Island, which was a scene, like scenery made famous by the Connor Palamodi storyline that they started, which, by the way, Harley was smart and silly in that storyline. And strong and all that. So they are not the problem. Harley goes back to Coney Island because she gets a notice that somebody has left her something in an inheritance, somebody she doesn't even know. And she meets up with her gang of Harleys, which is basically a group of people that she got to pulled together and worked with when she was in Coney Island. And then when she left to go back to Gotham, was like, hey, you got to take care of Coney Island for me. So she has this gang of Harleys, right? So she meets back up with her gang of Harleys, and her gang of Harleys go with her to the address of where her inheritance is, which it happens to be a warehouse. And inside that warehouse is a time machine. Now, what they think is a time machine. Yeah. Okay, so Harley gets in the time machine, and there is a big red button that says something to the tune of press this button, dummy. And she said, look, this is here, to, specifically for me. Stop writing intelligent female characters like they are dumb. Stop. 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 One of the other complaints I do have about this book is that it feels like Harley gets in, she presses the button, she thinks nothing's going to happen, or like maybe like bells and whistles and lights are gonna go flickering and everything like that, and she does it, something happens, and then she comes back out, and everything has gone completely to shit, right? The problem is like, excuse me, you don't actually see Harley doing anything to cause this. Like, it says Harley screws up the DCU, but just getting in a time machine and pressing a button and having, like, time things happen does not constitute the cause and effect. It does not constitute a butterfly effect or anything like that where something will change unless somebody actually gets out of the time machine and changes something. So, how does Harley screw up the DCU if she doesn't actually do anything to screw it up in the first place besides press a button? I mean, really. So she presses the button, and next thing you know is she is there again, and everything is messed up, and the heroes are not heroes. And she comes in contact with another person, and it is a little cliffhanger as to who that person is. They come and they're a hooded figure, and they're fighting a bunch of starro-faced citizens, basically. And then they reveal themselves once they get away, kind of get away, but not completely from the situation. And it's the reveal of who it is that might get me to read the second issue. I'm undecided at this point because and I will tell you, there are people, there's at least one person I know of that started reading this and stopped because they, like me, don't like when people write Harley like she's dumb. So, that's going to be a game day decision on that one, I think, guys. Quite honestly, that's going to be a game day decision on whether I read that second one or not. Ooh. Who wrote this one? Thierry? Yeah. Frank Thierry. And he's written Harley before. But no, apparently Harley needs a button to tell her, press here, stupid. Okay, so I did something, guys, where I read a Star Trek. I read a Star Trek comic book, guys. My first Star Trek. No, it's not my first Star Trek comic book. Excuse me. My first Star Trek comic book was the Ferengi one shot involving Moogie. And yeah, so that was my first Star Trek comic book. However, I haven't read any of them since. But so a number of years ago, some years ago, I do like the Star Trek series on TV. I like them. And one of the ones I grew up watching, actually, the two that I grew up watching, excuse me, the three that I grew up watching were Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and a little bit of Voyager. Okay. So, one of my favorite characters is Worf. Seriously, one of my favorite characters is Worf, and there's a few years back, fans of the series may or may not recall this, but there was a rumor, there were rumors flying, that Michael Dorn was going to get his own Star Trek series as Worf, and Worf was going to be the captain of the Defiant. Now, if you are fans, especially of Deep Space Nine, you know very much what the Defiant is. The Defiant is a little ship that has cloaking abilities. Yeah, okay, so I really love Worf and I really love the Defiant. The Defiant, became really center stage, especially during the portion of Deep Space Nine that had to do with the Dominion War. So when I heard that there was rumors that Michael Dorn was going to be Captain Worf and he was going to be captain of the Defiant and there was going to be a TV show, that was exciting. And then it never happened. Well, guess what, guys? We're getting it in comic book form, yo. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't typically read Star Trek books, but you know what's really cool about the Star Trek book is that it gives you enough information that you can kind of enter in to the Defiant. Now, the Defiant series comic book is kind of branching off from the current Star Trek book that has to do with Benjamin Sisko is back and he's a captain. So, it spins off of that. Now, the premise of the Defiant comic is, yes, Worf is the captain of the Defiant, meaning he's the captain of Defiant, meaning super duper cool. And so Worf is upset about how things are progressing in the storyline that has been happening in the regular Star Trek issue. Now, my boyfriend does read the Star Trek books. So any little blanks that there were, he was able to fill in. But let me tell you, it was not that difficult to read Defiant without those little blanks filled in. I did very much enjoy the Defiant book because it's one, Worf, and two, what I was hoping to have, like all those years ago, when the rumors were going around about Worf having his own Starship Star Trek show. I guess I'll read it instead of watch it. So the premise is this: he's upset about how things are going. Things are not quite working out. His son is in trouble. His son is actually joined up with an evil Klingon leader. Yeah, an evil Klingon leader. And so it's late on Saturday. The evil Klingon leader is a bad guy. Yeah. And Worf knows that he needs to be stopped. However, Worf does not want to stop him at the expense of his son. So, Worf has hijacked the Defiant, has his own crew. Now, let me tell you something. The crew that he has, hello. Okay, guys, here's the deal. It's cool. And I'm going to tell you one. And let me tell you, it's a cross, like, so like, you know how I mentioned just a moment ago that my major Star Treks were Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager? So basically, with the exception of the one that I'm going to tell you that's a part of his crew, it's basically like a hodgepodge, so to speak, of characters from all three of those. Okay, so the one character that I'm going to tell you that's a part of his crew, guys, he's got Spock. Spock is a part of the Defiant crew. Yes, that Spock is a part of the Defiant crew. So, right there, that's pretty fucking cool. The the storyline is like typical Star Trek, where yes, like I was talking about, like with Darkwing Duck, there is definitely the specific storyline, but it's really well written enough by Cantwell that you can pick up the Defiant and jump in. And let me tell you, let me show you this cover that I got. Yowzas. That is fucking awesome, isn't it? This cover is... I forget who did it. Let me check. Let's see here. I wonder if it's at the end. Because it's IDW. It's a possibility. David Aja. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Um, I am very, I'm very positive about that cover that I got. I love it. Let me tell you, my new LCS uses previews. So that you have an account view via previews, and literally the fucking covers are right there, and you can just pick your cover that you want. It's really cool. So if you don't have it set up like that, man, like, I'm sorry, because that's pretty cool. Um, but anyways, I definitely recommend the Defiant. Um, Good little kick at the end where, it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, so to speak, but it is a hook to get you to want to come back. So it's got it. If the characters, the storyline, and the appeal of the, fact that it was this rumored show years ago, and you love Worf and you love the Defiant, is not enough. There's a hook to it, and it gets you. If certain things, I think, are just hooks that are going to get you, especially if you're a Star Trek fan, and it's got it. And yeah, now if you are a Star Trek fan and you are reading the regular series with Captain Sisko, what I would do, what's been recommended to me, is to mention to read the Star Trek book. Um, if you haven't read the Defiant yet, but you have it and you have the regular Star Trek book, read the Star Trek book first, then read the Defiant. But okay, guys, we're at that point of the show where I am going to start talking about my top 3 books for the week. Yay! Woohoo! Okay. We're going to start with one that surprised me because I haven't been reading this series, but we have a new arc that started with this issue, and my boyfriend has been raving about this book. To me, keeps on telling me, I can't believe you're not reading this. I can't believe it. You're missing out. And you know what? That first arc is over. We've got a new arc. He's filled me in on basically what happened in the last arc that has carried over to the new arc. So you know what? I went ahead and I read Batman Incorporated #6. Guys, holy moly. Professor Pig on a rampage. That's basically what you need to know, especially since you see Professor Pig right there. Ghostmaker is the leader. If you haven't been reading Batman Incorporated, like I haven't been reading Batman Incorporated, however, I've been told about Batman Incorporated. Ghostmaker is the leader of Batman Incorporated. He was put in that position by Batman himself. And part of the deal is that he has Clown Hunter under his wing. And unfortunately, due to the events of the first arc of this version of Batman Incorporated, Clown Hunter is not really all that keen on being under Ghostmaker's wing. Um, Ghostmaker is pretending to be okay with the way he's being treated by Clown Hunter, but you can tell he's not. Um, it's kind of bumming him out, actually. But here's the deal. So, Professor Pig is going on a rampage because he says something was stolen from him. Now, was something stolen from Professor Pig? Well, yeah, pretty much. But he's blaming all the wrong people. And this is other villains like him, other members of the Rogues Gallery like him. So, um, Ghostmaker and Batman Incorporated have been asked to come back to Gotham to help out with this mess by Batman. So you have Clown Hunter in his, old stomping grounds, and the rest, not the entirety of Batman Inc., but a good portion of them have come to Gotham to figure out this whole Professor Pig problem. So there's some really nice, kind of funny moments. There's also some moments that are just good storytelling and to other connect to other books that are in the main DC world right now, such as connects a little bit to Nightwing because they are, walking around Bloodhaven. It connects to that storyline, and it is also um, kind of a whodunit detective kind of situation, which is what books that have Batman's name on it should be. But what I do like is the fact that Brisson has connected with the Gotham universe um, pretty well with this book. Um, there's some light, funny moments that will make you kind of laugh a little bit. There's definitely some horrifying. I'm sorry, Professor Pig is kind of horrifying. It's horrifying. It's weird and horrifying, and dear God, run for your goddamn life kind of stuff. But what I'm really interested to, and I probably, because it's in my top three, I'm probably gonna continue the storyline, whatever. What I liked was the bit of progression that the character of Ghostmaker has had. It's not it's not a steep arc up, it's more an incline. Um, but it's interesting the different bits of growth that the character has had since I first saw him in Batman. Um, but yeah, that was interesting. Professor Pig is absolutely horrifying. Um, yeah, like it's horrifying. There's definitely oof, moments with that one. But anyways, next book of the top three that I'm going to show you is I wasn't even gonna read this. And then I heard people talking about it, and I looked a little bit more into it, and it's Priest Lost Superman Lost, excuse me, number one. And I wasn't even gonna read this. Um, the art by oh golly, Carlo. I'm gonna butcher this name, and I'm so sorry. Pagulian, Yan, Pagulian, 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 Pagulian. Paz and Cox are involved as well. Um, so I wasn't even gonna read Superman Lost. I wasn't. And then I decided to, after some reviews and hearing what some people had to say about it, I decided to give it a try. Um, and I'm glad I did because this is an interesting storyline outside of normal um, continuity where um, Superman, Clark, and Lois Lane are having a regular night at home, talking about news stories that they're working on and such, and different things going on in the media. And Superman gets called away to a Justice League type situation, right? And Lois goes back to work. She's continuing working. She falls asleep at her computer, as we sometimes do, um, and wakes up once Superman returns, seemingly hours later. Well, as far as Lois is concerned, it is hours later. Just hours later. When Lois wakes up in her world, yeah, it's when Superman shows back up. She's like, "Wow, that was quick. That was only a number of hours. I wasn't expecting you this soon." And he's like, "Quick? I've been gone 20 years." So, as far as Lois and the rest of the world are concerned, it's just been a number of hours. But when Clark shows back up, Superman shows back up, it's been years. Not only years, like you can count it on one hand. You can't even count the number of years he's been gone on two hands. You're going to need a partner for this, y'all, to count the number of years Superman feels like he's been gone. 20 years. So Lois is confused and rightfully so. Confused and probably angry. She's seeming angry, but I think she's also seeming like she's not angry, she's confused and she's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Um Knock happens and at the door, and it's Bruce. Not Batman. He's not in his Batman getup. He is there as Bruce. And you get the idea that the reason Bruce has shown up at the door is because he knows that, as far as he's concerned, Superman is lost. They don't know where he is because what he did it ticks all the checks, it checks all the boxes here. Justice League situation, Superman is the only person that can make a difference. Superman is the only person that can do what needs to be done to save the planet, quite literally. And yeah, I mean, it checks all the boxes. So um he shows up and he's not expecting to see Superman there because, as far as he's concerned, tragedy has happened. And now this issue is the beginning of them explaining that to Lois and trying to unravel what happened. This has a 10 issue run. This is the first issue of 10. And so, yeah, this is some good stuff. Um, the story that they tell to Lois is just it like I said, it checks all the boxes, you know. And the thing is you have tropes for a reason. And remember, these are my top 3 books here, okay, of the week. You have tropes for a reason. Tropes are tropes for a reason, in that they have repeatedly worked. Now, the way you have a trope work repeatedly is you have to either write and use the right kind of words at the right time, pair that, especially with comic books, with art and media to create a story that can still grab you in however way it needs to grab you, whether it's makes you mad, makes you sad, makes you happy, makes you laugh, that kind of thing. Tropes are tropes because they work. Now, can you take a trope and make it not just work, but transcend that barrier? And I think Superman Lost does that. That's my opinion. So the last book that I'm going to talk to you about today, the last of my top three, um, I've felt compelled by. This is issue 3 of this series. I have felt compelled by this series since I started reading it, um, but wasn't quite getting it. But I felt compelled enough by the writing and what was happening with the book enough to keep reading it. Because it was one of those things where it's like, I don't think it was like, you know how sometimes you'll read something and you feel like you're not getting it, and it's because it's just not good? And then you read something and you're just not completely getting it because you think the puzzle pieces have not all been dumped out of the box yet. The puzzle pieces are not all in front of you right now, and that's why the story isn't coming together in your brain. It's because the story is still being told. It compels you because you can't guess what's going to happen. It compels you because you don't understand what's going to happen because you don't have all the puzzle pieces in front of you. And that is what JSA, Justice Society of America, The New Golden Age, number 3, that's what that series by Jeff Johns, art by Janet and Belair, is doing for me. So you have the first 2 issues, and I'm into it, but yet it's because I know the puzzle pieces aren't completely there in front of me yet. Um, so it's a happy kind of confusion. I don't know if you ever want to consider confusion at any time happy kind of confusion, but okay, we'll go with that. We'll say it's a happy kind of confusion. So let me see if I can sum up what's going on here. Justice Society of America as quickly as possible. So we're already at 47 minutes. This is kind of revisiting the idea that has happened in the past, where you have in the DCU, you have 2 different huntresses in the DC universe, comic book universe, where you have 2 different huntresses, one being Helena Bertinelli and one being Helena Wayne. Helena Wayne being the daughter of Batman and Catwoman. Now, you've seen Helena Wayne in as Huntress in a few different aspects here and there throughout the writing and history of DC Comics. One of them is something that happened, I think, back in the Silver Age. I'm not sure. Silver or Bronze Age. Forgive me. Where you were introduced to Helena Wayne being the daughter of Huntress being the daughter of Batman and Catwoman. You also have Huntress as Helena Bertinelli, and that's the Huntress in the current storyline of Batman and other different Bat Family books. Justice Society of America is dealing with Helena Wayne, and you do get a little bit of her backstory. This is one of those stories that does jump around time. It does time jumps. It is timey-wimey. It is wibbly-wobbly, which is probably part of the appeal to me. I like the whole time jumping, time travel kind of thing. So there is a person that has been kind of throughout her life stalking Helena Wayne. And it all comes to a head when her father is killed, that being Batman, Bruce Wayne, and her mother kind of figures out some of the shit that's going on and gives Helena a crystal ball and was like, you gotta go. So Helena starts jumping to different time periods. Now in her own time period, she is a member of the Justice Society of America as Huntress, much to the chagrin of her mother. Her mother did not want her involved in that kind of life for obvious reasons. However, in her time, in her area, in her world, it's the same world, it's just a different time. In her time, the members of the JSA have all been, except for her, have been basically killed. And the person that's at fault is this dude with the red hair that has kept on following her, stalking her throughout her life. And now she is jumping to different time zones, time zones, to different times. And in this book, she is hooked up with the JSA as it exists about 26 years prior to her birth. And she's trying to let them know what's going on. And they are familiar with the gentleman with the red hair that has been stalking her. And we get a little bit more information in this book about him. Now, that's where some of the puzzle pieces that were missing before start falling out of the box. And I really enjoy it. I really love I like the happy confusion. Because it's written in a way where it's like, okay, you can see that somebody who is writing this, and this in particular, Jeff Johns here, knows that he's going to have to give us this information little by little. We're in issue 3, and not all the puzzle pieces are out of the box, mind you. However, the puzzle pieces that are just falling out of the box with this issue fill in kind of some really cool portions of the puzzle. And it's starting to connect some dots here that, yeah, I mean, it's starting to connect some dots, and I do like that kind of writing. Wish I could do more of it. Um, so the story, this particular issue does end with a cliffhanger, um, where one puzzle piece basically has fallen out of the box. And this is figuratively. We don't have puzzle pieces falling out of the box in the middle of the book, guys. Just so you know. We don't have that weirdness happening. This is not Salvador Dali. This is comic books, y'all. And so it is a figurative puzzle piece has flown out of the box, has fit right into the puzzle, and it's like, oh, you have one of those moments, light bulb moment. And yeah, and it's going to propel you into the next issue. Trust me. If you haven't started reading Justice Society of America, please do. Like I said, this is only issue 3. This is good. This is good shit. Okay? It's good shit. Yeah. Just read it. Just do it. What are you going to do? Not read it? Anyways, guys, that does it for me for today, for this week. Got some stuff happening. Got some stuff that I'm going to be doing real quick light. So follow me on Instagram. Seriously, That is where you need to be, is Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at officiallyunofficialgeek. You'll know what's up when it happens, before it happens. Because I want to be seeing y'all out there. So that's it. This is the officially unofficial geek channel weekly comic review, as this was some fun stuff, and believe me guys, next week, if the planets align, we're gonna have Green Hell #3. Not a year later, next week. Cross your fingers. Green Hell #3 coming at ya. I'll be seeing you guys. Until next time, keep your eyes and ears open. If you see something, say something. And remember, the complacent never make a difference. I'll be seeing you guys.